Great. Welcome back for our final presenter for the day. Apologies for being a little bit late. We had a few technical problems in the background. Always a hazard when you're running events like this. So I'd like to introduce Rahim Tafazolli. He's the Regius Professor and Director of the Institute for Communications Systems for 5G and 6G. Now, I've got a whole opinion on 6G. I don't think we're ready for it yet, but that's a whole other topic for another day. But he's the founder of this institute down at University of Surrey. So, Rahim, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. And good morning to everybody. I hope my audio quality is good, and it's, but I try to raise my voice as much as I can, so it'll be nice and clear. I decided to talk about mainly digital transformation from the communication point of view, and more specifically, what we expect in future that 6G will have that impact on the digital transformation. But before we do that, I just want to go very briefly about the digital transformation that imposed and brought about by 5G. Just to remind ourselves, 5G is about communication and automation. It is quite unique that combining the automation into the communication system. And that was mainly for digital transformation of so-called vertical industry. It could be logistic, transport, manufacturing, gaming, and utilities, health, and many other industry that requires the modernization through digital connectivity and for modernization and operation productivity. So this is a famous triangle that shows very top level the main attributes of the 5G, which is a higher speed because of the capacity, the mass connectivity of the Internet of Things and devices, and more importantly, the unique feature of 5G is reliability of the connection and guaranteed low latency, which I will say why it is important, this low latency aspect. Low latency and reliability is for connecting machines. Machines, unlike human beings, they cannot, they're not tolerant to delay and delay variations or lack of connectivity. So system needs to be more deterministic aspect. And so that is one aspect of the 5G, which is industry transformation into the modernization of the operation and productivity. Another aspect of the 5G is the low latency and speed, which enabled virtual reality, which is a 3D video, augmented reality, or a mix of these two. So talking about low latency, many people don't recognize the importance of guaranteed. I emphasize on the aspect of the guaranteed low latency. Here we demonstrate controlling a 30-kilogram robot and try to balancing on two wheels. And when this robot is moving around and is controlled by a network. As you can see, when we connect to 4G, because of delay and delay variations of between 20 to 40 milliseconds, this robot collapses. Whereas in 5G, which is a guaranteed 99.99% of the time, the delay in each direction is 1 millisecond. And that delay is guaranteed, and we could control the robot to move at a high speed. And it has many implications to industry. So that was for the latency aspect. Then we said to ourselves, as Mike said, probably we are not ready for 6G yet, but we said to ourselves, why do we need 6G? What is that 6G will bring about that 5G cannot do with the technology of low latency, mass connectivity, broadband aspects, and high reliability part? So together with our industry partners, we did a brainstorming and said, why do we need 6G? And that happened to be during the pandemic time. So we said 6G has to substantially look at environment sustainability. As always, you see what is from the user's perspective, what is the impact it would have on our professional and private life, society, as well as it has to help the economy. So when we talk about the environment sustainability, we want to make the ICT or the telecom networks to be ultra energy efficient, not 10% or 20% or etc. As from society, robust privacy and trust and reliability on the system and dependability. And we wanted to solve once for all this digital divide. This is the lessons we learned from the pandemic, that how broadband connectivity, working from home, schooling from home, and etc., that taught us how valuable it was. So we want to solve the digital divide irrespective of the location we are in. But at the same time, we want to say, to realize the full 5G capability. And what we wanted to do, to look at a use case which has a very clear business case. So based on this, we said, if 5G we can consider it as a communication automation, 6G will be communications and sensing. I will not go into details of the sensing, but I will give some indications what it is meant and what important information is around us, that it needs to be sensed, it needs to be integrated into communication side. So from the media evolution point of view, if you remember, if you are as old as I am, 2G, we started with text and ringtones, and 3G image, and 4G was the first system that actually brought about two-dimension video. And 5G brought about capability to have a virtual and physical world in form of the three-dimension video. So from the media point of view, what 6G would enable? And do we expect any more evolution of the media beyond virtual reality? So we thought about this and we said that something we cannot do with 5G, and that is interactivity between virtual and physical world. With two people, whether they are located in a virtual world or they are located in a physical world, or more than two people, they cannot really interact despite the fact that we have low latency. Interactivity is not, was not considered as part of the 5G. Hopefully this becomes more clear as we go along. So talking about evolution of the media, which is video and 5G enabled virtual reality, if you look at what we have been transmitting or receiving since the beginning of the communication, is audio and video. We have two of the human senses. What about other senses? What about touch? What about taste? What about smell? And also the information about the person around the proximity of the person, like air quality, like a pandemic spread, noise pollution, light pollution, the temperature, and etc. And we thought that we want to bring this aspect into the video, the virtual reality. And if we do that together with radio imaging of the person using technology techniques like a terahertz, etc., and do the radio imaging and monitor and detect small activity that the user does. It goes forward, it goes backward, it shakes hands or whatever it is. Then we include that one, sensing the environment, sensing the human senses, and integrate that one into the communication. So if we do synchronization, time synchronization in between objects, which are 2 objects or 3 objects or a group of objects, as we have shown here in our lab, these 2 people on the right and left are different corners of our building. And in a virtual world, they can actually interact, they can shake hands, they can hug each other, they can do all sorts of things. So what is needed here is the time synchronization. And time synchronization, not only between 2 points, point A and point B, which is effectively could be latency, but it is for many points, many objects, many people, which is located at different parts of the network, in the same country, the same town, or in a different countries, that time synchronization. And then as a result of that time synchronization, we can get very high accuracy geolocation. If we do this, it would enable things that you have seen in films, like Kingsman, for example. You see, they have a virtual meeting, most of virtual and physical meeting, and there is an interactivity between them. And then we can have as natural interactions, irrespective of whether we are in a physical world or we are in a real world or between the two. Recently, you've seen Facebook is talking about metaverse, but metaverse, if you want to see an example of that, you see that in a matrix, for example. This interactivity that we are proposing, together with the human senses and a virtual reality, effectively we are enabling teleportation. So it is, what we are proposing is more than just metaverse, which is turning people into possibly zombies. Whereas here, it would enable people to interact in a physical and a virtual world. And together with the human senses and the time synchronization and virtual reality, effectively, we can turn a scientific science fiction into a science fact. So this, if we go back, these 2 people, which are our researchers, they can interact in a virtual world. And if we transmit the touch and taste and smell, as well as the other ambient information, these 2 would appear to be like interacting as if they are in the same location. And this has huge implication on many services. and digital transformation of the many vertical services. So just to summarize, what 5G enables through low latency and reliability is connecting reliably machines and devices. Whereas with low latency, time synchronization, and sensing information, we take all these applications, which affects all aspects of our life, to completely a new level of interactivity. We can have, for example, driverless cars moving at a very high speed without colliding with each other. We can have cooperative manufacturing between human in a virtual world, in a physical world, or in a virtual world, as well as between human and robots, or between robots. It will completely opens up new generation of entertainment. In terms of telecare, interactive telecare, a GP, a doctor, could turn up as like a virtual world, a virtual reality with the human senses and touch the patient's hand, an elderly person at a remote location, feel the temperature, shake hands, as if the patient and the doctor are in the same location. And it would enable a kind of the teleportation side. So the famous triangle of the 5G, everybody's aware of that. So for 6G, we have equivalent triangle. So we want to overcome the digital divide by providing coverage through using the satellite, as well as highly energy efficient metal material surfaces, intelligent surfaces. Time synchronization, which provides interactivity, provide in a virtual world, in a physical world, and radio imaging, together with sensing. It provides sub-centimeter geolocation information. And that would enable a kind of new way that we work, and we're gonna do our professional work and in a private life. So that is the digital impact that 5G has or is ongoing to have, and what we expect 6G will bring about. Thank you very much. I think I exceeded my 15 minutes.
Great, Rahim, thank you very much. Some really fascinating and probably slightly scary insights for some people about what's coming down the line around 5G and 6G in the future. So I'll bring this session to a close and we'll get set up for our panel session. If you give us a few minutes, click on that link within your feed loop feed, and we'll see you in a few moments in the panel session as we get everybody together. Thank you very much.